The wind howled across the Arctic tundra, whipping snow into crystalline dancers against the twilight sky. Commander Marcus Reed stood at the observation deck of Research Station Polaris, his dark eyes fixed on the ethereal lights that had been pulsing in the distance for the past 3 days. These weren't the familiar ribbons of the aurora borealis, they were something else entirely. "Commander, the energy readings are off the charts again," Captain Diana Torres called out, her voice cutting through the howling wind as she approached. She held up a tablet displaying rapidly changing numbers that made little sense to conventional science. Her breath frosted in the air as she continued, "Whatever's out there, it's unlike anything we've ever encountered." Marcus nodded, running a gloved hand through his salt and pepper hair. At 45, he'd spent 2 decades leading classified military research operations, but nothing had prepared him for this. "Assemble the team, Captain. We're going to investigate." Within an hour, a small convoy of specialized Arctic vehicles trudged through the snow, following the mysterious pulses of light. Diana sat beside Marcus in the lead vehicle, her dark complexion illuminated by the glow of multiple monitoring devices. At 38, she'd earned her reputation as one of the military's finest scientific minds, but even she seemed perplexed by their current situation. The convoy crested a ridge, and suddenly, the source of the lights became clear. In a vast clearing below, a towering figure stood amidst swirling particles of light that danced around her like cosmic fireflies. She was easily 12 feet tall, her skin a deep indigo that seemed to shimmer with its own internal light. Intricate patterns of silver traced across her form, and her hair, if it could be called that, looked like flowing streams of starlight. "My God," Diana whispered, her scientific detachment momentarily forgotten. The being turned to face them, and Marcus felt his breath catch in his throat. Her eyes were like captured galaxies, ancient and knowing, yet somehow warm. She raised a hand in greeting, and her voice, when it came, seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds. "Greetings, children of Earth. I am Naira, guardian of the Seventh Seal, protector of the Western Spiral." Her voice carried both authority and gentleness. "I have come seeking allies in a war you do not yet know exists." Marcus stepped forward, his training warring with his awe. "I am Commander Marcus Reed of the United Earth Defense Force, and this is Captain Diana Torres. We mean you no harm." A smile graced Naira's ethereal features. "I know your hearts, Marcus Reed and Diana Torres. They beat with courage and curiosity, rare qualities in these dark times." She gestured, and the lights around her coalesced into images, distant stars, strange vessels, and what appeared to be tears in the fabric of space itself. "My people, the Etherii, have guarded the cosmic barriers for millennia. But now, those barriers weaken, and what lies beyond?" She paused, her expression grave. "What lies beyond hungers for worlds like yours." Diana stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overtaking her caution. "You're talking about an invasion? From where? Another dimension?" "From the spaces between dimensions," Naira corrected. "The Void Walkers grow stronger, and Earth's location makes it a prime target. Your world sits at a crucial junction of cosmic ley lines. If it falls, countless others will follow." Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Arctic cold. "Why tell us? Why not approach world leaders directly?" Naira's galaxy eyes fixed upon them both, and Marcus felt as though she was seeing straight into his soul. "Because sometimes the fate of worlds turns not on grand armies or powerful leaders, but on the hearts of a few who are willing to believe in the impossible." She knelt, bringing herself closer to their level, though she still towered above them. "I have watched your facility, studied your people. You too, especially, possess the strength and wisdom needed for what is to come." The lights around them pulsed brighter, and in their glow, Marcus could see patterns forming, complex mathematical equations and orbital calculations. Diana gasped beside him, her tablet frantically recording data that would take weeks to analyze. My presence here must remain secret for now, Naira continued. The Void Walkers have agents everywhere, even on Earth. They would strike before we could prepare if they knew of my arrival. Her gaze softened as she looked between them. I need your help, your trust, and perhaps. She hesitated, something vulnerable flickering across her otherworldly features, perhaps something more. Before either of them could respond, their instruments began screaming in alarm. Diana's eyes widened as she read the displays. Commander, these readings, they're similar to what we detected from Naira, but they're coming from orbit. Naira rose to her full height, her expression hardening. They found me sooner than I expected. We must move quickly. She extended her hands, one toward Marcus and one toward Diana. Will you trust me? Will you help me protect your world? Marcus and Diana exchanged glances. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them, a recognition that their lives were about to change forever. They reached out simultaneously, their hands seeming small as they placed them in Naira's palms. The moment they touched, a surge of energy flowed through them. Marcus felt as though he could see the universe itself for a split second, its vast expanse, its hidden dangers, and its incredible beauty. Beside him, Diana gasped, likely experiencing the same vision. The storm approaches, Naira said softly, her thumbs gently caressing their hands. But together, we might just be strong enough to weather it. Her eyes held a warmth that seemed to chase away the Arctic chill. There is much to explain, much to prepare for, and... She paused, that same vulnerability returning to her features, much to feel. As the northern lights danced overhead and distant alarms continued to blare, Marcus and Diana found themselves drawn into the orbit of this mysterious being from the stars. Neither of them could have predicted that this moment would lead not only to Earth's greatest challenge but also to the most profound connection any of them had ever known. The first shot of an impossible war had been fired, and in the frozen wasteland of Earth's north, an unlikely trio stood ready to face it together. Within the reinforced walls of Research Station Polaris, Naira's presence transformed the facility's largest chamber into something otherworldly. Her silvery markings cast shifting patterns on the walls as she manipulated what appeared to be a three-dimensional star map hovering in the air before them. The Void Walkers attack through these points, she explained, her elegant fingers tracing lines between clusters of stars. They seek to corrupt the cosmic barriers that separate dimensions. Earth sits at a crucial nexus point, a crossroads of realities. Diana stood transfixed, her scientific mind racing to comprehend the implications of what she was seeing. The past week had been a blur of revelation after revelation as Naira shared knowledge that would revolutionize human understanding of physics, if it ever became public. Marcus leaned against a console, his tactical mind already processing the strategic implications. How long do we have? 3 months, perhaps less, Naira replied, her galaxy eyes dimming slightly. We must prepare your world's defenses, but we cannot alert the Void Walkers' agents to our actions. It must appear as routine military exercises and scientific research. Diana stepped closer to the star map, noting how it seemed to respond to her proximity, shifting to highlight different aspects of the cosmic landscape. These energy signatures, they're similar to what we detected when you arrived. Could we use them to identify their agents? Naira's expression brightened, and she moved to stand behind Diana, her towering form casting a gentle shadow. Yes, precisely. Your intuition serves you well, Diana. She reached around Diana to manipulate the display, her presence sending a subtle warmth through the captain's body. With modifications to your existing sensors, we can detect their unique quantum signature. Marcus watched their interaction with interest, noting the gentle way Naira guided Diana's understanding, and feeling an unexpected twinge of something he wasn't quite ready to name. He cleared his throat. We'll need to brief a select team, people we can trust absolutely. Trust, Naira mused, turning to face him. Such a precious commodity among your people. Among the Etherii, trust is absolute, we share a psychic bond that makes deception impossible." She paused, her features softening as she looked between Marcus and Diana. "I find myself missing that connection." Diana's scientific curiosity piqued. "Your people are all telepathically linked?" "Not exactly." Naira moved to the center of the room, her height forcing her to bow her head slightly beneath the ceiling. "We form bonds, usually in groups of 3, it creates a perfect balance of energies. These trinities become the foundation of our society." Her voice carried a note of longing that wasn't lost on either human. Before they could pursue that line of questioning, alarms blared through the facility. Marcus rushed to the security console, his expression grim. "We've got unauthorized aircraft approaching from the south. Military signatures, but they're not responding to identification requests." The Void Walkers move faster than anticipated. Naira's form began to glow with internal light. "They sense my presence and seek to eliminate me before we can prepare." Diana's fingers flew across her console. "I'm reading energy signatures matching their quantum profile. They're not just coming by air, we have ground vehicles approaching too." Marcus activated the facility's defense protocols, but Naira raised her hand. "Wait. I can help, but..." She hesitated, her galaxy eyes filling with an emotion neither human could quite identify. "It will require trust. More trust than I have any right to ask for." She extended her hands, one toward each of them, just as she had that first night. "The Etherii can form temporary bonds in times of crisis. It would allow us to coordinate perfectly, to fight as one. But it is intimate. You would feel what I feel, know what I know." Marcus and Diana exchanged glances. In the week they'd known Naira, she'd proven herself repeatedly, sharing knowledge and showing genuine concern for Earth's safety. But this was different, this was letting someone, something, into their minds. The facility shook with the first impacts of enemy fire. Time was running out. "I trust you," Diana said suddenly, stepping forward to take Naira's hand. The connection formed instantly, her eyes widening as she felt Naira's consciousness brush against her own, ancient, powerful, but also surprisingly gentle. Marcus watched Diana's expression transform from shock to wonder, and made his decision. He grasped Naira's other hand, and the circuit completed. The sensation was overwhelming. Suddenly, they were aware of each other in ways that transcended physical space. Marcus could feel Diana's brilliant mind working through tactical possibilities, could sense Naira's ancient power humming beneath her serene surface. Diana experienced Marcus's steady strength and Naira's cosmic perspective. And Naira felt their uniquely human passion, their determination, their capacity for adaptation and growth that had drawn her to them in the first place. Together, they moved as one. Naira's power flowed through the humans, enhancing their natural abilities. Marcus coordinated the defense with unprecedented efficiency, anticipating attacks before they came. Diana's understanding of the facility's systems reached new heights, allowing her to redirect power and resources with perfect timing. The battle was over in minutes, the enemy forces retreating in disarray, unable to counter the perfect synchronization of the trio's defense. As the bond faded, all three stood in silence, processing what they'd experienced. The connection had revealed more than just tactical information, it had exposed feelings that each had been harboring, attractions that went beyond mere physical appeal or intellectual admiration. Naira began, her usual eloquence failing her. "Among my people, such a perfect resonance between 3 individuals is considered sacred. It usually marks the beginning of a lifelong bond." She looked away, her starlight hair dimming slightly. "But I understand if human customs do not allow for such arrangements." Diana stepped closer to the towering alien, her hand finding Naira's. "I felt it too. The potential there." She looked at Marcus, her expression open and questioning. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, his tactical mind warring with his heart. We should focus on the defense of Earth, he said finally, but his tone held no conviction. The bond had revealed too much, had shown him possibilities he couldn't simply ignore. Naira nodded, but her galaxy eyes held a new warmth when she looked at them both. Yes, of course. The Void Walkers will return, stronger next time. We must prepare. She waved her hand, bringing up the star map again, but her other hand remained linked with Diana's, and her gaze kept finding its way back to Marcus. The air in the chamber hummed with unspoken possibilities as they began planning their next moves. The battle had been won, but the war was just beginning, both against the Void Walkers, and with their own hearts. The Arctic night stretched endless and star-filled above Research Station Polaris. 2 weeks had passed since the battle, and the facility had transformed under Naira's guidance. Crystalline structures now augmented the human technology, their surfaces gleaming with internal light as they processed vast amounts of data about approaching Void Walker threats. Marcus stood on the observation deck, watching the northern lights dance across the sky. The memory of the psychic bond lingered in his mind, impossible to forget. He heard the deck door open behind him, recognizing Diana's footsteps without turning. Couldn't sleep either, she asked, coming to stand beside him. Too much on my mind, he admitted. They stood in comfortable silence, both aware of the unspoken tension that had filled the facility since the battle. She's building something new in Lab 3, Diana said finally. Some kind of quantum barrier. The equations behind it. She shook her head in wonder. We're decades, maybe centuries away from understanding this level of science. Marcus turned to look at her, noting how the aurora's light played across her features. That's not what's keeping you awake though, is it? Diana met his gaze steadily. No, it's not. Marcus, what we felt during the bond, we need to talk about it. Before he could respond, a soft glow announced Naira's presence. The towering alien approached with her characteristic grace, her starlight hair shimming in the darkness. Your minds are troubled, she said softly. I can sense the discord even without the bond. She moved to join them at the railing, her height allowing her to look down at them with gentle concern. Perhaps it is time we addressed what lies between us. Among my people, such conversations are simpler, our bonds make truth unavoidable, beautiful in its clarity. And what truth do you see now? Marcus asked, his voice rough with emotion. Naira's galaxy eyes softened. I see 2 extraordinary humans who have accepted me, trusted me, fought beside me. I see hearts capable of expansion beyond traditional boundaries. She paused, vulnerability clear in her expression. I see the possibility of something my people consider sacred, a trinity of souls in perfect harmony. Diana stepped closer to Naira, her scientific detachment giving way to raw honesty. During the bond, I felt complete. As if I'd found something I never knew I was missing. Not just with you, Naira, but with Marcus too. It should feel strange, impossible even, but it doesn't. Marcus watched them, his tactical mind warring with his heart. Even if we feel this connection, there's still a war coming. The Void Walkers won't wait for us to sort out our personal lives. Naira's expression grew solemn. Among the Etheriae, love is not a distraction from duty, it is the source of our greatest strength. The strongest barriers, the most powerful defenses, they all stem from the energy of bonded trinities. She extended her hands, just as she had during the battle. Let me show you. This time, when they took her hands, the connection formed more naturally. Their minds merged with gentle familiarity, like coming home after a long journey. Through the bond, they felt Naira's deep affection for them both, her wonder at finding such compatibility with beings from another world. They sensed Diana's brilliant mind expanding to encompass possibilities she'd never imagined, her heart opening to love in its most unconventional form. And they experienced Marcus's steadfast devotion, his protective instincts extending to encompass them both, his tactical mind finally accepting that some battles are won by surrendering. As the bond faded, they remained connected by touch, none willing to break the physical contact. Above them, the aurora seemed to pulse in sync with their hearts. The Void Walkers attacked because they sense my presence, Naira explained softly, but also because they feared this possibility. A human Etherii trinity has never existed before. The power such a bond could generate. She looked between them with wonder. It could turn the tide of the entire war. Diana's scientific mind engaged even as her heart raced. The quantum barrier you're building, it would be powered by this connection? Naira nodded. Enhanced by it, yes. But such a bond cannot be formed from necessity alone. It must grow from genuine feeling, from choice and acceptance and... She hesitated, then continued, from love. Marcus squared his shoulders, making a decision. Then we take this step by step. We learn about each other, we build this bond properly, and we prepare for war. Not because the world needs us to, but because we choose to. Diana smiled, squeezing both their hands. Together. The moment was interrupted by a sudden alert from Diana's tablet. Her eyes widened as she read the display. Multiple quantum signatures detected in orbit. Bigger than anything we've seen before. Naira's expression hardened, though she didn't release their hands. They sense the potential of our bond forming. They will try to strike before it can fully manifest. She looked between them, her galaxy eyes intense. Whatever happens next, know that my heart has chosen you both, freely and completely. Marcus straightened, his commander's instincts taking over even as his other hand found Diana's, completing their circle. Then we face it together. Not just as soldiers or scientists or guardians, but as one, Diana finished, her grip tightening on their hands. Above them, the aurora flared with unprecedented brilliance, responding to the energy building between them. In orbit, the Void Walker ships began their approach, unaware that they faced not just an Etherii guardian, but a trinity in the making, one that would rewrite the rules of both love and war. The next battle would test not just their defenses, but the very bond forming between them. As alarms began to sound throughout the facility, the trio shared one last look of perfect understanding. Whatever came next, they would face it together, their hearts beating as one beneath the endless Arctic sky. The Void Walkers' attack began not with fire or thunder, but with silence. Every sensor in Research Station Polaris went dark simultaneously, plunging the facility into an eerie quiet broken only by the hum of Naira's crystalline technology. They're trying to blind us, Diana said, her fingers flying over multiple keyboards as she attempted to restore their systems. The quantum barrier prototype in Lab 3 pulsed with unstable energy, responding to the tension in the room. Marcus coordinated with the skeleton crew they'd maintained since the first attack. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. His voice remained steady, but his eyes kept finding their way to Naira, who stood in the center of the command room, her entire form glowing with barely contained power. They're not just attacking the facility, she announced, her galaxy eyes fixed on something beyond human perception. They're attempting to tear open the dimensional barriers directly above us. If they succeed... She didn't need to finish the thought. They'd all seen the simulations of what would happen if the Void Walkers created a full breach. Diana straightened from her console. The quantum barrier isn't ready. We needed at least another week to stabilize the power matrix. We don't have a week, Marcus replied, moving to stand beside her. We barely have minutes. Naira turned to face them both, her starlight hair writhing with agitation. There is a way. The barrier can be powered by our Trinity bond, but... She hesitated, her usually melodious voice tight with concern. To form a permanent bond in the midst of battle, the strain could be fatal to any of us. All of us. The facility shuddered as the first physical attacks began. Through the reinforced windows, they could see the sky itself seeming to tear apart, revealing the horrifying void beyond. Reality itself was being unmade above their heads. Marcus and Diana exchanged glances, years of military training and shared experience allowing them to communicate volumes in a single look. They moved as one to stand before Naira, their hands already reaching for hers. No, Naira stepped back, genuine fear crossing her ethereal features. You don't understand. A Trinity bond cannot be broken. If we survive, we will be linked permanently. You will feel what I feel, know what I know, for the rest of your lives. And the power required. She looked between them, her galaxy eyes swimming with emotion. It could burn out your human minds completely. Diana's voice was steady as she replied, if we don't try, there won't be any minds left to burn. The whole world will fall. Marcus nodded, his tactical mind already accepting the risk. We've already chosen each other, Naira. The bond would only make official what we already feel. Another impact rocked the facility, and warnings blared from every remaining functional system. Through the windows, they could see vast, dark shapes descending from the tear in reality, void walker ships, larger than any they'd encountered before. Naira's resistance crumbled. Very well. But know that whatever happens, you have given me something precious beyond measure, the knowledge that love truly can transcend the boundaries between worlds. They joined hands in a circle, just as they had before, but this time Naira began to glow with an intensity that was almost blinding. The light spread through their joined hands, racing along their arms and enveloping their bodies. The bond, when it formed, was nothing like the temporary connection they'd shared before. This was total immersion, a complete merging of minds and souls. Marcus felt Diana's brilliant analytical mind expanding his consciousness, while Diana experienced Marcus's steadfast strength becoming her own. They both felt Naira's ancient power and knowledge flooding through them, threatening to overwhelm their human consciousness. But instead of burning out, their minds adapted, evolved, transformed by the power of their connection. They became something new, neither fully human nor ethereal, but a perfect synthesis of both. Through their joined consciousness, they activated the quantum barrier. The prototype hummed to life, powered not by conventional energy but by the pure force of their combined will. A shield of iridescent energy expanded outward from the facility, racing upward to meet the dimensional tear. The Void Walkers, sensing the power of the Trinity bond, launched everything they had. Dark energy weapons capable of unmaking reality itself crashed against the barrier. The strain was immense, and pain lanced through all three of them as they fought to maintain the shield. In their merged consciousness, memories and emotions flowed freely. They saw Naira's millennia of lonely guardianship, her secret hope of finding souls that could match her own. They experienced Diana's lifetime of seeking understanding, of pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. They felt Marcus's deep-seated need to protect, to serve, to love. The bond transformed these individual traits into something greater. Diana's quest for knowledge became the key to understanding the barrier's structure. Marcus's protective instincts strengthened their defense. Naira's ancient power gave them the ability to channel energies no human had ever wielded. Together, they were more than the sum of their parts. The barrier not only held but began to push back, forcing the dimensional tear to close. The Void Walker ships, caught between the closing tear and the barrier's energy, began to disintegrate. But the strain was taking its toll. Blood trickled from Diana's nose, and Marcus's vision began to blur. Even Naira's radiant form seemed to flicker like a candle in a strong wind. Yet none of them dared break the connection, not just because the world depended on it, but because in that moment of perfect unity, they had found something they never wanted to lose. Through their bond, three voices spoke as one, together or not at all. The barrier flared with renewed power, drawing strength from their combined will. The dimensional tear sealed with a reality-shaking thunderclap, and the remaining Void Walker ships were reduced to cosmic dust. As the immediate threat faded, the trio maintained their connection, unwilling to let go. The bond had changed them permanently, marking them as something unique in the universe, the first human Ethereal Trinity. Through their linked minds, they felt the changes taking hold. Diana and Marcus could now perceive the quantum structure of reality itself, while Naira experienced human emotions with a new depth and clarity. They were different now, transformed by love and power and necessity into something unprecedented. The facility's systems began to come back online, bringing reports of the battle's aftermath. But for the three figures standing in the command center, still glowing with residual energy, still linked mind to mind, the outside world could wait. They had found something greater than victory, they had found completion. In the days following the battle, Research Station Polaris hummed with a new kind of energy. The facility had become a fusion of human and Ethereal technology, crystalline structures seamlessly integrated with Earth's most advanced systems. But the most remarkable transformation had occurred within its three principal occupants. Marcus stood at his usual spot on the observation deck, but he no longer needed the reinforced windows to see the cosmic dance above. Through the Trinity bond, he could perceive the quantum streams that flowed between stars, the delicate web of reality that he and his bondmates now helped maintain. He felt Diana's approach before he heard her footsteps, their shared consciousness allowing him to experience her contemplation of a new series of equations that would help strengthen Earth's defenses. Behind her came Naira, her towering form now a comfortable presence in their lives and minds. The quantum barrier network is expanding as planned, Diana reported, though she hardly needed to speak the words, they could all see the progress through their shared perception. Other military installations are beginning to adapt our hybrid technology. Earth's defensive capabilities are growing exponentially. Naira moved to stand between them, her starlight hair dancing in patterns that reflected their combined emotional state. The Void Walkers will think twice before attempting another invasion. The power of our Trinity has changed the balance of forces in this sector of space. Through their bond, they could feel the truth of her words. The unprecedented union of human and Ethereal had created ripples throughout the cosmos. Other guardian races had taken notice, and diplomatic channels were opening that had never existed before. We've changed more than just the strategic situation, Marcus observed, his consciousness brushing against theirs with practiced ease. The initial overwhelming nature of the permanent bond had settled into something beautiful, three minds in perfect harmony, each enhancing the others without losing their individual essence. Diana smiled, reaching out to take both their hands. The physical contact wasn't necessary anymore, their minds were always connected, but they had found that touch added another dimension to their bond. The scientists at headquarters are still trying to understand what we've become. The changes aren't just mental, our DNA itself has been altered. Through their connection, they shared the memory of the medical examinations that had followed the battle. Diana and Marcus's cellular structure had begun exhibiting properties similar to Naira's, while Naira had developed uniquely human characteristics. They were becoming something new, a perfect synthesis of both species. The Ethereal High Council has requested an audience, Naira announced, sharing through the bond her mixed feelings about facing her people's leadership. They wished to understand how this bond was possible. In all our history, we never imagined we could form true trinities with other species. Marcus squeezed her hand, sending waves of reassurance through their connection. They'll have to accept that love doesn't follow rules, not even cosmic ones. Diana's scientific mind was already racing with possibilities. This could be the beginning of something revolutionary. If humans and Ethereal can bond this way, it opens up entirely new avenues for both species' evolution. Through their shared consciousness, they felt Naira's deep joy at their acceptance mixed with lingering amazement at how completely they had embraced the bond. Among her own people, trinities were considered sacred, but this union had transcended even those ancient traditions. The facility's systems pinged softly, announcing the arrival of new data from the quantum sensor network. All three of them processed the information simultaneously through their bond, more Void Walker vessels had been detected at the edge of the solar system, but they maintained their distance, wary of the power that had defeated their first attack. "They're afraid," Marcus noted with satisfaction, his tactical mind analyzing their retreat patterns. "As they should be," Diana added, her understanding of quantum mechanics now enhanced by Naira's cosmic knowledge. "The barrier network we're building will soon be impenetrable." Naira's galaxy eyes softened as she looked at her human bond mates. "They fear what they cannot understand, that the strongest force in the universe isn't power or technology, but love." Through their bond, memories flowed freely, their first meeting in the Arctic snow, the gradual building of trust, the moment they chose to risk everything by forming the permanent bond. Each moment had led them here, to a future none of them could have imagined alone. The aurora borealis danced overhead, its patterns seeming to mirror the energy that flowed between them. They had become something unprecedented in the history of either species, a bridge between worlds, a new kind of family, a trinity that defied conventional understanding. Diana's scientific curiosity, Marcus's protective strength, and Naira's ancient wisdom had merged into something greater than the sum of its parts. Together, they would guide Earth into a new age of cosmic awareness. Through their bond, humans would learn the secrets of the universe, while the Etherii would discover the unique beauty of human love and determination. "What happens next?" Marcus asked, though they all knew the answer in their shared consciousness. "We continue to grow, to learn, to protect," Naira replied, her form glowing with contentment. "Together." Diana completed the thought, her mind already exploring new possibilities. "And we show both our peoples that love truly can transcend the boundaries between stars." As the Arctic night deepened around Research Station Polaris, the Trinity stood together, their bond humming with power and promise. They had faced the void between dimensions and emerged stronger. They had defied conventional wisdom and created something new. But most importantly, they had proven that even in the vast expanse of space, hearts could find each other and souls could merge across the boundaries of species and stars. Their story would become legend among both humans and Etherii, the tale of two humans and a cosmic guardian who chose love over tradition, unity over separation, and in doing so, changed the course of two civilizations. But for Marcus, Diana, and Naira, standing together beneath the aurora's dance, it was simply the beginning of their shared journey, one they would face as they faced everything now, as one mind, one heart, one trinity, bound together by a love that transcended the very fabric of reality itself.